Good evening. I will now call to order the regular City Council meeting of November 25th, 2024. Members of the public are invited to attend in-person meetings in council chambers. Public access is also available by telephone by using the call-in numbers posted on the meeting agenda, and tonight's meeting will be broadcast on the city's YouTube channel online. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Leidy.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Lukeman Hiramasa will be absent. Councilmember Burns will also be absent. Councilmember Jaramillo.
Here.
Councilmember Kondo.
Here.
Councilmember Roper might be absent. Councilmember Goff.
Here.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Here.
And Councilmember Walker might also be absent tonight. Thank you.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Manager Guy, are there any responses to resident inquiry?
Nothing this evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you.
Are there any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? Nope. All right, we'll start with public invited to be heard. This is an opportunity for public comment on any item not set for public hearing. Statements are limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements must be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. City Clerk Small, is there anyone signed up to speak to council?
Yes, Madam Mayor, there is one individual on the list, and that is Tom Lampo.
Thank you. Welcome. Please state your name and address and provide your comments to council.
All right, hello, I am Tom Lampo, 3951 Jackson Way. Just want to say I love the decorations, whoever put all that together. Color is excellent. So, it's good to be back in front of Northglenn. I'm here again to lift up the people of Northglenn in prayer. We are really in incredible times with a great amount of change in front of us. What will never change is God seeking our hearts. There's nothing greater than His desire for your heart. Everything He puts into action is to secure that prized decision. Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, in Jesus' name, we come before you and ask that you forgive us for our shortcomings. You are welcome here. Please join us and walk beside us. You are the God of Northglenn. Jesus, you are the Prince of Peace, the King of Kings, Lord of Lords, Almighty God. There is no one greater than you, and no event that you do not see. Your love for us is beyond measure. Uncertainty is all around us, but in Proverbs 16:33, your word states, "The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord." You have an agenda that we don't understand. Many in our community are still feeling that you have been absent. And if these are your decisions, they don't make sense to us, and they aren't how we see our community. Our ideal society and what we are living through are in conflict, but it's not you who needs to change. It's not you that needs to reconsider any decisions. In Isaiah 55:8-9, it states, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, nor are your ways my ways, says the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." We need to trust in your thoughts and your ways, but we don't know them, and we don't know how to lift our thoughts and our ways up to your standards. Work with our shortcomings. Open our eyes and let us see your plans for our community. We're lost and we need guidance. We're unsettled and we need peace. Don't be far from us. Work with us. The opening we give you might be very small. Our faith and trust isn't where it should be, but work with us because what we are experiencing right now is far from what we expected. You are our God and we are your people. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Thank you guys and have a nice night.
Thank you. All right, we have a couple of presentations tonight. So we will start off with Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board Update. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of council. My name is Vanessa Alarcon, and I'm the secretary of the DISE board, which stands for Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity. Chris will also be presenting, and so we'll go ahead and get started with the presentation, and I'll go ahead and then pass it to Chris. what we'll review today will be the background of the DISE board, the purpose, our year in review, the accomplishments that we had, recommendations to City Council, and plans for 2025. So the background for the public and also as a recap for the board or for the City Council was that there is an ordinance number 1796, which was the beginning of the launch of the DISE board. And the purpose is really to support the city's strategic focus on diversity and making sure that the city is able to really be a welcoming and inclusive city, as the council has really emphasized this effort. And so the activities that accompany this board are primarily creating a work plan, really being a city from members of the board and driven by residents of what they hope to be the priorities and goals. We definitely focus on celebrating and encouraging an understanding of diversity across the city of North Glen, and making sure that we could create opportunities for members of the community to get involved and to really get their input and collaboration in future decision making. And so we have definitely a strong foundation of our purpose as a board. So we have here a list of the following objectives that we had for 2024. So the first one was education and community awareness, policy review and recommendations, community feedback and needs assessment, and collaboration and community recognition. We had a variety of guest speakers that accompanied us in this last year. As you can see from this list, we had a great diversity even within of different areas represented across the city. So we have from the co-chair of North Glen Next to primary leaders at the city. So our city manager, city attorney, our mayor came as well. And then we also had Rachel from special events who came more than once to speak with us to make sure that we can collaborate effectively as a board. And you can see there's also some external people that came as well. So Mandy Medrano is highlighted as someone who came from the Latino Cultural Arts Center. And then Director Peterson, Director Stricker, our police chief. And we also had, we were excited to have Council Member Roper come as well to just show allyship with the board. And so that was a very nice gesture. And then also we had someone from the crew team as well come and talk. We also did invite the Metropolitan Denver North Islamic Center. Unfortunately, they were unable to join us, but we were able to create that connection and create that invitation. We also had various city events where we were able to have a presence in. And so starting at the end of last year with Noel North Glen, we did not only just have a presence, but offered an opportunity to have resources and materials available to individuals that may be experiencing autism. So making sure that we're meeting a need for neurodivergence across our community. So we did sponsor a sensory room and sensory backpacks. We also did have a group from the DISE board for the Farmers Highline Canal cleanup. We were present at the food truck carnival, and for North Glen Pride, we did also sponsor a sensory bus. That was one way that we utilized our city's funds, and so that was a present at North Glen Pride. We also sponsored some Juneteenth bookmarks for the Juneteenth doubleheader concert that occurred over the summer, which was fun. A few of us on the board here were able to pass them out and have a token of something that the community could take with them. We also did sponsor a sensory bus for Dancing Through the Decades. There was a presence from the DISE board at National Night Out, and we were also at the Lucia Rivera Gallery opening. So as you can see right here, these are various events that happen throughout the year, and so the DISE board was able to have consistent presence throughout the year in various events. And we also did sponsor Next Benedict's Memorial Service, and Dr. Goff was a key part in making sure we were able to show a presence in our community. We did present at the People's Powwow as well, and I know Chris will speak more on that. We did sponsor 2 cultural workshops, which hopefully all of you were aware of. Autumn played a key role in that as well, but we had 2 recent cultural workshops that were presented with the Latino Cultural Arts Center. And then we also did participate in a food hygiene clothing drive with the Imperial Court of the Rocky Mountain Empire for Stuckey Elementary's Resource Closet. And then for the accomplishments, we were able to recruit. So that was one of the state of the board at the beginning of the year is we had various terms end, and so we were in recruitment mode. And so we were able to recruit 5 new DISE board members. As previously mentioned, we did sponsor those sensory spaces for city events. The board over the years had worked on finalizing a land acknowledgement or just working on it, and so we were able to collaborate on the finalization of that. We did issue board statements in oppositions to political violence and hate speech. And as I can see from this list, there was also highlighted Odell Berry Park, which some of you on this board, this has been a mission from the board for various years to make sure not only that the park was named after Odell Berry, but that we can actually see the future and follow through the implementation and execution of having the Odell Berry Park in our community. And I'm sure Chris will also mention more on this, but we have continued to build a good relationship, or I should say great relationship with the Imperial Court of the Rocky Mountain Empire, and we did present them with a copy of our proclamation, and we have furthered our connection with the Autism Community Store and presented them a copy of our Autism Awareness Month proclamation. So I will highlight that Chris has done a great job of making sure that the proclamations that are discussed here, we're able to really carry this on into what I'd call community partners, or people that where we can show our allyship as a city, and that we've been able to highlight how we really are promoting inclusivity and diversity. And then here's a list of all the city proclamations that we were able to receive over the last year. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Chris. I know we're still doing some accomplishments, but just for this slide, we were able to collaborate with the North Glen Police Department and participate in board interviews. We do now have these name tags that you'll see some of us wearing with our pronouns to align with the city's brand recognition. And we did use our funds to purchase meaningful giveaways. So as we were present in the community, making sure that we're able to have things that not only reflect the city's branding and diversity, but also specific things that really highlight this. So one of the things that you'll be seeing in the next year is we did sponsor a Diversity is Beautiful children's coloring book, which will have the City of North Glen brand on it, and we'll be able to distribute on behalf of the board. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Chris.
Thank you. That was awesome. So we did 2 workshops. This is one of the 2. Council member Jaramillo was able to join us and blew us away with his artistic talents compared to most of us. But at this one, we painted candles for Fenda, and sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right. I'm not the best at pronunciation. It was really neat. We learned about Day of the Dead and the altars and the meaning behind them, the symbolism. And then we actually had this border, who are you honoring? So I wrote my grandmother and got to put my grandmother's name up there. It was just a fun event to get together as a group. Honestly, they are an amazing organization. I look forward to doing so much more with them going forward. All right, and then this is our second workshop. So this one was a little bit more difficult. I think the artistic level was at a higher level for sure. I know Councilwoman Goff and myself were struggling at times. We sat next to each other kind of chuckling about this. But we made picture frames. They were those tin-looking picture frames that you see on altars, and it was really neat. They set up a little demonstration altar for us, but to get together as a community and do some art and learn a different art style. And that was really impactful for me. Actually, mine now sits on our altar at our house, so it's pretty cool. And I look forward to bringing them back this year. I would love to see even more than just 2, hopefully, workshops with them. And honestly, this is largely due to Autumn. Autumn made that connection, and I know we're celebrating her after this, but definitely, if it wasn't for her, I don't think this would have ever happened. We were blown away with our partnership with them. So our plans for 2025. As we all know, politically on a national landscape, things are very rocky. So this is where we're gonna have to come in a little bigger and a little bit more bolder, but also respectfully at the same time. So our goals are to continue to collaborate throughout the different city projects and events. We want to do an actual Juneteenth event, not just a concert doubleheader where we're playing, this is our Juneteenth event. We want an actual cultural event, and we're gonna work to make that happen this year. Odell Berry Park. We've made some progress, and we're going to continue to make progress. We're going to help with letter writing, getting the word out to the community, and getting this park to happen. We want an actual space to honor our former mayor, and also to honor everything he's brought on his family's property here in North Glen. So it's huge to all of us to make that happen. onboarding. We would like to work with council and also the city to try to come up with appropriate board orientation for all the boards across the city, and regarding rules and regulations of the municipal code, and to make sure bylaws are in alignment. Because this year, as you all know, we took up a chunk of time to play with bylaws, and we don't want to go back to that again. Pride. Well, this year, as we all know, politically, pride is a dicey subject, but we want to be able to make ours more beautiful, more bolder, but also educational. We want to educate our community because the number one reason hate happens is a lack of education and understanding. So we really want to combat that hate by showing them how beautiful this community is. Then diverse businesses. Towards the end of last year, we had brought this up before as a group. We talked about ways to make people celebrate these diverse businesses and keep business coming back. And we want to really work with our economic team to highlight minority businesses, women-owned businesses, and diversity businesses, and hopefully make that be a big part of what makes the city beautiful. We also want to revisit our work plan, make adjustments. This is like pretty much a rough draft for the year. There are going to be some give and take in this. We want to continue to partner with the city to incorporate DEI and events. We want to explore library options for the city of North Glen. I am so excited. There's an engagement coordinator, I guess, coming from Anything who's going to be joining. So we're going to have them as our first speaker in January. So we're really excited about that. We also were talking about doing a vending machine library, but we'll see what the diversity coordinator says. We want to make this a collaborative effort and also highlight band books, diverse voices, and North Glen voices. So that's a big part of what we want to do. We want to expand our collaboration with the North Glen Arts. We want to reschedule the speaker from the Metropolitan Denver North Islamic Center. We want to feature banned books, as I said before. And we want to connect with the Jewish, Christian, Catholic, and senior communities. These are communities that we really haven't connected with yet. But you know what? We want to extend the olive branch to everyone because we respect and we love everybody in this community. We want to celebrate the unique diversity of all, not just some. And then last but not least, volunteer to help out in our North Glen community. We want to be community partners. We want you to see DISE board members out there helping and being part of everything. And then the biggest one. This is kind of a brainchild that I started to kind of volley off a little bit, Chief May and our business folks with. It's something that we visited before in a previous board meeting, and then with the bylaws and everything, kind of got shelved this year a little bit. This is going to be a safe places program. Right now, as we all know, demographically, nationally even, hate is on the rise. It doesn't matter if it's LGBTQIA+, it's minority, it's honestly happening everywhere, and it's pretty rampant. So to combat that, we want to explore a partnership with the North Glen Economic Development Team and the North Glen Police Department to promote businesses that will label themselves as a safe space. So if I'm out in the community and someone starts hurling insults, I know I can run into that business. They know how to, what to do, who to contact, what to do, and I have a safe place to feel safe in within this community. We would like to denote them possibly like a sticker on the door, maybe to work with Chief May to do some training. I know I want to sit down with Chief May in the near future to explore what that will look like, but we think that would be unique and neat to do in our city, to tell people it's safe to be who you are, no matter who you are, and to know where you can go to be safe here. And here's some photos of what we've done. You can see on the right side Pride, and from our powwow over there on the left. Then here's some more. You can see the mayor and her daughter actually in front of our sensory bus. We were, super excited to get that partnership going at the Autism Community Store. They are phenomenal people. And then also from our 10 picture frames that are our minimal artistic effort, I can say. And then we also have just a photo of Catherine and Dr. Goff there for one of our events. And then we really can't do this without the support of our council members. I've seen almost each and every one of you guys at some event, one of our events, as many as you guys can be. And honestly, without you guys, we would be getting nowhere. So we really thank you all for your support and want to further this partnership. And any questions? Excuse me.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for all the work you guys do for our community here in North Glen. I love that you have the collaboration with Gate and Dance. They're a Latina-owned business in Ward 2, so I'm very happy to see them. They're also friends that go back, and you're in the art community and Latino community. It's good to see that organization is still making a great impact here, and also Latino Cultural Center. They're on the rise, and I'm happy to see them having an impact here in North Glen, and seeing some friends that are coming up in leadership roles like Mandy. So it's really awesome to see that, they're like North Glen's bringing people from Denver, bringing that culture, that energy. So well, keep it up, and I'm happy to see all the hard work going on and collaborations in the community. So
Thank you,
keep it up.
Councilman Harmia. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, thank you for the presentation. It's been a joy to work with this DISE board this past year. And I just wanted to point out, I know we had on there that we wanted to work on onboarding, and that is going to be happening in January, this coming January. So we'll have some kind of process to do that, not only for the DISE board, but for other boards and commissions as well, so just so everyone knows that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't see any other questions. I just want to say thank you for the presentation, because I think we all are trudging along and doing our work, but to put it all together in a slide, you have accomplished a ton, the entire DISE board in the last calendar year, and your goals for the future are really inspiring. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much. And just one more thing to add. The food drive for the Stuckey Elementary is currently going on. The Imperial Court of the Rocky Mountain Empire is actually an amazing group of drag performers, actually, that do drag for fundraising for the community, for scholarships, etc., and also do community efforts like this. They asked if anyone in the community would like to participate. They are collecting. I'm the point person for North Glen right now because they mostly all live in Denver, but they wanted to support us because they did our pride, and they love our community, and they want to keep coming back here. So just a shameless plug for them. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for being here. And we're also here to celebrate a DISE board member. So I'm going to ask council to come down front for me, and we're going to bring Autumn Romero up. She has another one. Cross the line. Thank you for being here. We're so excited to celebrate you tonight. So Autumn was appointed as a Ward 4 member of the Diversity, Inclusivity, and Social Equity Board as part of the original membership in September of 2020 when the board was created. Autumn has been an active member and has helped the board connect with the community at a number of events over the years. We would like to thank Autumn for volunteering her time to the board and present her with this Dedicated Service Award. Now, that is a very small statement of appreciation, and I actually would like to open the floor if there were any DISE board members that wanted to say something. I'm happy to hand the microphone off. Anybody? Definitely Councilmember Goff. We'll let her kick it off.
Thank you. Autumn, we're going to really, really miss you. For people who don't know, she was on our first board, as was mentioned. She acted as vice chair. And then when we had a chair who got a job in another state and moved out, she stepped up and was the interim chair. So she does whatever needs to be done, and she's going to be really hard to replace.
Anyone?
Hi, I'm Celeste Jackson and have served with Autumn since the beginning. And I have to say that you brought joy, you brought a maturity of leadership, you brought focus, and we are really going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll just pass it down the line since you guys came.
I'm Wes Dunbar on the DISE board. I, too, along with Celeste, we go back to the very foundations of the DISE board. Your leadership and the tone you set from the first meeting on, and because we didn't know what we were doing. And you set a pretty high bar and a great standard for how we have conducted business and continue to do so. So you will be missed. So.
Thank you.
Well, Autumn, I actually look up to you when it comes to this board. If I could be half the leader you've been with this group, I'll be doing really good for myself. And I aim to at least hit that benchmark at a minimal. Your leadership, your guidance, and just literally, I can volley a question off of you, and you'll come back like the other day. I messaged you, and you were back with an answer for me. You're welcome back at any time. You're still part of us. So if you want to, get a little bored, come on out, join us. Volley an idea off of me. I'm here. But thank you so much for everything you've done for the city. We truly appreciate you, sincerely.
Thank you. Thank you. Now we're gonna.
Adam, do you want to say anything? Okay, it's official picture time. I need you guys all to take like 2 steps.
I think the biggest thing is that I've met some incredible people along the way, not only just city council members, but people in the community, which has been really awesome. We moved to North Glen 4 years ago, and so we knew a few people up here, but we didn't know everybody, so this was a great way to get out and meet. Just the supportive community that we have is great. I hope that City Council continues to advocate for all the voices that are in our neighborhood, in our communities. I was reading someone's bio that said they are only representing a very narrow faction of individuals up here. And I think that that is really important, that that ward understands that there are some of you who are not having your voices represented. And it is important to exercise your ability to vote and make sure that your voice is heard by someone who's going to represent everybody. Sorry to get a little political, but it's extremely important, and it's part of what DISE does. And we're not just talking about, I mean, we're representing the autistic community. We're trying to make sure that everybody has a voice and a say in this democracy, because it's going to get really hard in the next 4 years. And so building this collaboration, building community, keeping the bus moving forward, staying off the drama triangle. So when you're falling into despair, look for happiness. Joy really is a resistance. Reach out to your neighbors. Do the community bus van that we have. I think that's a great opportunity to find joy. I will continue to be a resource, so if anytime you guys need me, just call me.
Now it's official picture time. If I could have everybody's, I try to get you between the flags, so they're all in the back, so there you go. Very nice. Excellent. All right, ready? Start low and just keep going, so don't blink, don't keep smiling. Got it, thank you.
Wait.
Oh, you got
Thank you.
Congratulations.
You're amazing. Our third presentation tonight is the Economic Development and North Glen Urban Renewal Q2 and Q3 2024 report. Director of Economic Development and NURA Executive Director Allison Moding is here to present to Council.
Thank you, Mayor Leidy, Council. Twice a year, I get the opportunity to come talk about all the work that we're doing to support our business community. So thank you for your time tonight. I do want to start out. We are coming up on Small Business Saturday, so once a year, we encourage folks to support small local businesses, shop local, spend your money where you live, and so as part of that, I think this is the second or third year that we'll be distributing our I Love North Glen bags. They'll be available at various retailers throughout the community, a few restaurants, so we have a flyer as well that shows some of the benefits to shopping local, keeping money where you live and where you work. And we appreciate all of the efforts that folks do to support small businesses and kind of think outside the box when it comes to shopping for holiday gifts. It doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be a thing. It can be an experience. It can be somewhere to go out and eat. It can be things maybe that folks aren't expecting. So encourage folks starting November 30th, that's Small Business Saturday. These will be available, and hopefully everyone can get their hands on one because they're a hot commodity. So, all right. So tonight, I just want to talk a little bit about what we've worked on since the last time I was in front of you. So basically the last 6 months from April to September of 2024. We'll just do a quick update on both economic development side and also the urban renewal side. So we'll recap, we'll talk about some new businesses. Business retention and expansion is a big part of what we do, so I'll talk about some of those activities, have a couple of NURA updates to share, and then we'll look ahead to what's coming up in 2025. So for the last 6 months, one new event in our kind of lineup for things that we like to outreach to our businesses was our observation of Small Business Week. This happens in May. This year we had a kind of a week-long grouping of events. We started with a burrito drive-through. We had breakfast burritos and invited all of our businesses to come out and grab a burrito and give us an opportunity to say thanks for being a local business. We also had an educational component. We had a consultant talk to our business community about your business identity, so helping folks understand who their audiences are and how to communicate with and kind of establish that brand as a business. We also directed folks to the United States Small Business Administration, had a 2-day virtual summit with all kinds of educational opportunities to learn about how small businesses can be supported. And then, of course, you all had a proclamation. I couldn't find a picture of the proclamation, otherwise I would have put it in here. So that was our Small Business Week, and that's typically in May. We'll be refreshing that in 2025, so looking for some fun activities to do for that. We also have kind of a new team. Marissa Phillips was promoted to our economic development specialist earlier this year, which then opened up our economic development coordinator position, and we were lucky to land CC Chambers, and they're both here today. They're kind of the heart and soul of what we do. CC works with our new businesses, getting folks kind of up to speed, and then Marissa will step in and is working with our existing businesses and handling all of our business retention work. So thank you both for everything that you do. Let's talk about new businesses. This period, we had 29 new storefront businesses. The number in parentheses is the previous period, so we had 42 the prior 6 months, and then 5 new home-based businesses that joined the North Glen business community. 96 new jobs created. That's significantly less than the last period. Part of that, I'll tell you, is Prost. They've got a lot of folks working for them over there. Also, we tend to find that kind of the end of the year and the beginning of the year tend to be really active for new businesses. So I would say that's part of the discrepancy as well. And then we had 51,077 square feet of commercial space that was absorbed, or businesses that moved into 51,000 square feet of space. So those storefront businesses were pretty evenly spread out across the city. You will see the Irma Drive area. We tend to have a lot of movement over there. There's a lot of small kind of flex industrial spaces that are good spots for a lot of different businesses. So, but other than that, pretty evenly distributed throughout. And then just real quick, a welcome to those new businesses. So you can see some names that you recognize, maybe some that you don't. So I encourage everybody to get out there and find out who those businesses are. We did do 5 ribbon cuttings over the summer, and the first one was European Market was a relocation into a new space. Their former location is now part of the Headwaters senior independent living apartments. And so they were fortunate to be able to literally move across the parking lot, took up some space in what was the Wells Fargo bank building on the first floor. So we welcomed them. And that was followed by Alley Creations at 104th and Huron in the Huron Center. They had a fantastic ribbon cutting. They had dancers and music and a food truck, and it was a really neat cultural event. Followed by a pair of mental health counselors that are in the Plaza North Center. So we were able to welcome them this summer. A big one was the Carl's Farm Senior Apartments. They opened earlier this year, 164 units. Those are income restricted for 62 and up. And we had a great turnout for their event as well. And then last but not least, we welcomed Mile High Customs. This is the second location for this group that they do custom wraps and tints and all kinds of really neat, fancy, expensive cars. And excited to welcome them and see how they will continue to grow in that space. And I will say that they were able to purchase a building, a full building. They're occupying half the space. And so they'll also be landlords as well. Let's talk about business retention a little bit. I think, we're going to shortly start scheduling events and activities to get out and meet as many of our business owners and managers as we can. We do that through business visits, which are kind of one-on-one appointments that we schedule with businesses. We also do business walks where we put together a team of folks to go out and cover larger kind of shopping areas or office areas. And then we coordinate business after hours events that are both kind of fun and social, but also give a networking opportunity to our businesses. This past quarter, we did business walks at the Huron Center at 104th and Huron, and then at the Northgate Center at Malley and Washington. And I think we visited a total of 42 businesses just in those two days. And then we held a business after hours event at Lizzie's Axe Throwing. It was originally snowed out because there was lots of snow in March, but we had 40 folks that showed up, and I think it was really interesting to see faces that, at least since I've been here, we saw a lot of new faces in the I hadn't seen, at least at the business after hours events. So we do have another one coming up December 13th, and it will be at the Stonehawker Farmhouse. It's our annual holiday business after hours. So I know you've all hopefully received an invitation, and we look forward to having. That's typically a great turnout as well. As far as other business retention opportunities, of course, our annual business appreciation event is kind of our signature business retention effort. So we had that event just this past October, but we also do quarterly anniversary cards that are actually signed by all of you. A good way for us to just remind Northglenn businesses that then they're celebrating kind of those milestone. I think it's 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 years of doing business in Northglenn. So we mail out a lot of cards every year. We do an annual business survey as well, and then we work on our Shop Local directory, which is our online business directory. We'll be promoting that obviously this holiday season as well. And want to say big thanks to our Parks Department who got, we have lots of shop and dine banners that just went up last week, so you should see those popping up around shopping areas, just as a little visual reminder to people to shop local. Real quick, NURA, we've got a picture of our board here. Of course, NURA dates back to 1990. We currently have 2 active urban renewal plans. We've got 6 appointed members with 1 advisor and 1 council representative, and we meet the second Wednesday of every month. We were pretty busy this summer. We did work with a potential buyer for the Washington Center shopping center at 120th and Washington. We've talked about that. Although the project's currently on hold, we've got a few things that are moving, as real estate often does, but we'll hope to have an update for you on that soon. As far as grants go through NURA, of course, we have 2 grant programs. We do our Business Improvement Grant, which is an exterior grant, 50% match for signs and landscaping and parking lots and things that make the outside of buildings look better. We had $24,871 worth of grant money allocated in the past 6 months for that. And then we also have our BUOG grant, which is for utility assistance improvements, and we had a couple of those, both for $15,000. 5 different grants. One of them did benefit the North Glen Business Suites, which is just celebrated their ribbon cutting last Friday. So we have 8 brand new sort of micro suites for small business entrepreneurs, and excited to help them make that project a reality. All in all, those grants brought together total investment from both private and public of $4.7 million in 6 months. So again, a couple of the business suites was new construction, so you would expect that number to be pretty big, but that's why NURA invests in those types of activities. Real quick, I just want to jump on a few highlights. On the economic development side, we've been hard at work. On the development review side, we are tracking about 64 new and existing businesses. These are, we're trying to get certificate of occupancy for businesses. They are required to have those. Sometimes businesses sneak in, so we work with them to make sure that they're operating safely and that we're able to help them in case they need assistance. And as I mentioned previously, we had 5 ribbon cuttings and been doing a lot of new onboarding of our staff. Also for NURA, we 5 must be my magic number. We did 5 grants over the last 6 months. We also reviewed some redevelopment proposal at 112th and Irma. You may recall that NURA has about 1.3 acres of land over there that's slated for redevelopment. The one proposal we received was for reuse of one of the buildings, which isn't quite what NURA has in mind. So the plan is to go back out to the market in 2025, re-release the RFP, and see if that we can find a developer for that site. We're also looking to have a couple of the buildings demoed again to make the site itself more attractive for redevelop, make it look shovel ready for a future developer. And then we also had a board retreat in May. About once a year, NURA gets together to review priorities and ensure that they're looking at all of the potential redevelopment opportunities. The priorities continue to be kind of the 120th and Washington area with Washington Point and Washington Center, as well as continuing to support the North Glen Marketplace, and then 112th and Irma as well. Coming up, as we're looking ahead to 2025, we're working on a new packet of information that we can distribute out, particularly when we go on our business walks. We often find that the manager isn't there or the owner isn't there, and so we want to have a package of really comprehensive information about crime prevention, about code enforcement, about sustainability, all the different things that we try to talk to businesses about. We want to have something to leave with them. So we're currently working on that. Website enhancements are something else that we're working with the communications department on some website improvements. And then also looking at some retail recruitment tools to help us work with some of our landlords to fill some of our vacancies, and planning to attend the International Council of Shopping Centers next May to help do some of that recruitment, meet with some smaller retailers and see if we can help do a little matchmaking with some of those vacancies that we have. And then as far as NURA, I mentioned looking at some demolition of 2 of the 3 buildings on that site. We're waiting on next steps for the Washington Center redevelopment plans, and then we'll start talking soon about Washington Point opportunities and what that's going to look like moving forward. I wanted to mention we've got a lot of ribbon cuttings coming up probably in the next couple of months. Empanada Express, actually, we had that one last Friday. It snuck in. We actually ended up rescheduling that one. But Empanada Express took over the former Scooters space on Washington, and I know some of you were able to join us, so thank you. We're also looking ahead to the opening of Kids Empire at the North Glen Marketplace in the next couple of months. Quick Trip, I think we just put on the calendar here maybe in the next week or so. We'll have 8 new tenants to welcome to the Northglenn Business Suites, and so working with those individual tenants. Body Refinery Pilates is a new Pilates studio that's going in out at the Northglenn Marketplace. They're expecting to open in early January. Murphy Express is a convenience store at 120th, or I'm sorry, at Washington and Sylvia. It's been moving right along, and I think they hope to open around the first of the year. And then a small one at the Northglenn Square Key Nail Supply. So lots of welcomes coming up in the next couple of months. Beyond that, I just wanted to mention that we are looking ahead to our next report to all of you. We've learned that there's several reports that we used to rely on for some of the data that we would provide to you that have changed. Some of that came from some of our partners. So we're going to be looking at some of those, some new data sources, and we'll coming up with some new slides, new graphs, new pie charts, new fun things to share with you for the end of 2024 when we make our year-end report for that. So other than that, any questions I can answer or anything that you all would like to share with me? I am done with my comments.
Councilmember Kondo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for this presentation. And I have a question and then just a statement. But the question is, I think you said next year you're going to demo 2 of the 3 buildings there at 112th and Irma.
Yes.
So Mercedes, selfishly, is one of my favorite Mexican restaurants. Is that going to continue to stay there, or?
Stay there, yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, the 2 vacant buildings are the one, I think, and because of the frontage on 112th, that makes sense to go ahead and take those buildings down. We've gotten some early estimates that it's.
But the intent is to ultimately tear down the Mercedes building as well, right? And
Yes.
try and sell that as an entire paracel?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. And then, just for your FYI, the Mayor Pro Tem and I, we attended City Summit in Tampa. And both Mayor Pro Tem and I, we attended this breakout called Save Your Town. It's quite interesting, the concept. One of the co-founders, Becky McRae, she's from Oklahoma, and a very small town in Oklahoma. And the notion is they have some initiatives to be able to activate vacant store lots. So say, for example, maybe during the holiday seasons, maybe a 6-month window, you could actually bring in small businesses. I noticed that you have Dots Pizzelles up here, which, thank you, Luann McCain, I believe. She runs her business out of her house. Mm-hmm. And so wouldn't it be a great opportunity for her to go and set up a storefront and really actually have the experience of running a business and selling and stocking and all this other stuff? So it's quite an interesting sort of concept, and I believe the Mayor Pro Tem and I will schedule some time to upload with you. Very interesting concept. In fact, I'll also email the website so you could preview that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that is a great point. Let me, Luann McCain of Dots Pizzelle Cookies, they dropped the cookies off today. Tis the season for Pizzelle cookies. So they just out of the blue, her husband dropped by to make sure that you all got to enjoy the cookies. She was our home-based business of the year just earlier in October. So really nice that they thought of us. And so hopefully she's watching at home and gets a chance to see.
And she's a Navy veteran as well, so
Yeah.
hats off to her.
Yeah.
I don't see any other hands, no questions or comments, but thank you. Thank you for this very thoughtful presentation, and congratulations on your amazing team. You have a rock star team there, so that's great.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Okay, moving into communications, I will start with Ward 2, Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This Saturday on the 23rd, I attended the Northglenn Arts and Humanities Foundation inaugural gala, and it was at the community rooms at the Parsons Theater. It was a great success. They transformed the whole space. It looked wonderful. Wow. I mean, if you were there, you know, 3 of us on the dais were there, and the staff really transformed the space. It looked wonderful. And hats off to them too for that, and all the planning it took. So it was a great success. It raised over $35,000 for the North Glen Youth Theater Endowment. So I don't think that's including the ticket sales and the corporate sponsorships as well, but I think that's just from paddle raising. So it was a great event, and I'm looking forward to next year, and hopefully we can keep this going on annually, but if not, I was happy to be a part of the first one. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing for me, I attended the North Glen Senior Organization Board meeting, and really kind of business as usual. They're excited about the van, so that's the big piece. They're really looking forward to that, and that'll really help again with the accessibility issues and being able to do a lot of their outings that they were unable to do before. And beyond that, just keep on the lookout for the different seniors in North Glen if you need assistance, things like that. Be on the lookout for them and the activities in the paper that comes out and wherever you kind of find those listings. That's all for me.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. So not a whole lot to report out on this week. I did attend the 2 ribbon cuttings. So the Empanada Espresso, which is on Washington near the Vitamin Cottage, it just opened up, and by all accounts, great food. I didn't get a chance to do it there that day, so I'm definitely going to be checking that one out. And then the Office Suites at 112th and Washington, and it was very exciting to see something happening in that location. So thank you, NURA, and our economic development people. It looks great, and they've already got a few tenants, so look forward to more success for them. And that's really all I have to report out, so thank you.
Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to piggyback on what Councilmember Jaramillo just talked about, the 30th anniversary, first annual gala. I had an epiphany that night sitting there, and it's interesting. When I interviewed for the interim fill of the position of the spot, I mistakenly called it the Alan Parsons Theater. It's the D.L. Parsons Theater. Yeah, Alan Parsons Project. Now I'm really dating myself. But in fact, Mrs. Parsons was there, and I talked to her as I was walking out, and I told her, I said, I often refer to the theater/rec center as a crown jewel of North Glen, but I realize now it's just a building. And what really makes it special are the programs and the people, like the North Glen Youth Theater. And, of course, the staff and various people that come together to really pull off some wonderful programs. So I just wanted to kind of set the record straight. First of all, I know it's not the Alan Parsons Theater. It's the D.L. Parsons Theater, but also I do want to be, I want to publicly acknowledge really the crown jewel are the programs and the people here in the city of North Glen. Like Councilmember Goff, along with Council Members Walker and Mayor Pro Tem, I also attended the Empanadas Express opening as well as the micro office suites. And just to put a shameless plug out there, I think Empanadas Express has the Napoleon Empanada, which is a breakfast empanada. They serve empanada and coffee in a drive-through format. So definitely please check that out. I think that's a great opportunity. And then lastly, the Mayor Pro Tem, and I, we attended the North Glen, I'm sorry, not North Glen, National League of Cities. I see N, and the first thing I think about is North Glen. National League City Summit in Tampa Bay. Just to kind of thumbnail this briefly, I think the hot topics were AI and government. And one of the speakers was a futurist and talked about future-proofing. I forwarded that PowerPoint to you all. It caused a question in your mind, but really her takeaway message is we need to really embrace new innovations and technologies, or else we're going to be left in the dust. And that's what she's encouraging us to do, is to make that leap of faith. Cyber, of course, always a hot topic, and then innovation and public safety. So I believe we're going to schedule meetings to update and upload all the information that we received from the city summit. Very, very nice city. And certainly if you have not gone, I definitely encourage you to go. Much more informative with the breakout sessions and the vendors there. So I hope that maybe next year you'll be able to attend. I think it's in Salt Lake City, so that's not too far afield. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Oh, and now we're back to me already. Okay, so I have a few things. One, I want to thank our staff for all the lovely decorations. It is definitely looking very festive in and outside. I had the opportunity, so I want to shout out specifically our parks manager, Willie Waterhouse. He hosted me with some of his staff, and we recorded my mayor's monthly minute. It was kind of fun. I got to help. I got in a bucket, and they lifted me up, and I got to help. It was very fun. So look out for that little monthly video. It was all in good fun, but it definitely highlighted the parks team and everything that they do to get our city so beautiful and ready. And they partner with Public Works, so it's not just them, but they work together to really make sure our public spaces are inviting and festive. So thank you to them. I also attended the North Glen Youth Theater 30th anniversary celebration. It was beautiful, but right before that, I saw Sister Act. And so to Councilmember Condo's point, the high caliber of talent that we have, not only in the youth theater, but all the other productions, it really is worth your time to see a show over there. And I am excited to be going on the 14th to Motones and Jersey Boys. That's one of my favorites. If there's tickets still left, you should try to get one, because I look forward to that every year. It's hilarious. It's a really good show, so I'm excited. But all the shows, like, you should go to the website, you should check it out, see what they have coming up next. I think I'm going to look at, I think it's The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly Sweater. I don't know. It's supposed to be a comedy group. And so I may have to see that too. A couple of things that I want to highlight. Well, first of all, December 6th is Noel North Glen. Please come. It's going to be fun. It's our big holiday celebration for the community, for kids of all ages. Like, so many holidays are celebrated. It's very inclusive. And as we heard from the DISE board tonight, they help partner with that event as well. So please come on December 6th. And then finally, on December 11th through the 13th, I was invited to attend the Mayor's Summit Against Anti-Semitism. It is out of state, and so in full disclosure to council, I was invited to participate. The organization Combat Anti-Semitism Movement is paying my hotel and my flight and all of that. So just so you're aware, the Mayor of Thornton is also attending, and really, it fits well with our presentation tonight with the DISE board and all of their work for the city and helping us really elevate diversity and make sure that we're combating hate in all its forms, and that is something that we do here. So I just wanted to let you know I will be attending that. And then just a final happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you, and I hope you eat all your favorite foods this week. City Manager Guyer, do you have any updates?
I do, Mayor and Council. The first is thank you for the acknowledgements for the holiday decorations. I do want to give a special shout out to Amanda Peterson, our Director of Parks, Recreation, and Culture. She was the brain behind pulling all of this together and picking out the theming. We will, once we have the software installed on the screens and the lobby areas, be displaying holiday traditions from around the world. So that piece is forthcoming. We just don't have it in place yet. There was a group of employees here at City Hall that helped do all of the installation, but in effort not to forget someone, I won't mention their names, just acknowledgement that Amanda had additional help. So Also want to give a shout out to employees in advance of the holiday weekend and say thank you for working your holiday. There are many employees that are away from families over the holiday, and just want to say thank you for your continued commitment and service to North Glen. Previously, I have provided council with an update on the police department's efforts in response to a large number of CRM requests we received regarding expired plates. And Deputy Chief Randy Darling has been very instrumental in working with Patrol, Commanders Rice, Lauk, Chief May, in ensuring they get through what ended up being a backlog of those CRM requests. So as of Friday of last week, Deputy Chief Darling had been able to get through 72 of the CRMs. And so I just want to share some statistics with you so you understand the breadth of the enforcement activity that the police department has been effective in accomplishing. 12 vehicles were towed, 10 vehicles were issued citations, 21 vehicles were unable to be located when the PD attempted to make contact, and 23 of those CRMs, the police department was able to make contact with the registered owner or resident in order to, and provided the education necessary to correct the issue. 6 of those contacts, the vehicle was removed from the roadway onto private property, and we weren't able to make contact with residents in those instances. So we do have 3 open CRM requests as of late Friday. I did see a few more come through the system as of this morning and this weekend. There are a couple, 3 open and late complaints in the system. So staff has made a commitment to council to ensure that we are working through making sure we close out complaints in a timely manner. This particular topic has required some additional time. But I share all of this information to, number one, let you know that this is a topic that the police department is taking very seriously. They are working as quickly as they can, and I appreciate the additional effort of Deputy Chief and other command staff members to step in and help with those enforcement activities. Unfortunately, we have 2 animal control officers. One has been out of the office on leave, and the other animal control officer has been trying to keep up with the volume of CRM requests that have been entered, and has done a great job doing that, but also had some time out of the office as well. So I think we're plugging away, and we'll continue to do that, and just wanted to share that update with council. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk Small.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do not have any reports tonight.
Okay. City Attorney Hoffman.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, members of council. Just one thing for me, and that is, in light of the recent announcement from the municipal court judge that she is resigning, I've been working with the deputy city manager on getting an RFP out on the street, and then would anticipate meeting with you all in the month of December, likely December 16th, to talk about process associated with selecting one of your council appointees.
Thank you. All right. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
Second.
Please open the vote. Please vote.
Oh, I have not logged in.
I will close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have a handful of resolutions tonight. We're going to start with CR 173. Will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving change order number 1 to the professional services agreement between the City of North Glen and Brannan Construction Company for the on-call meter replacement project.
Second.
Director of Public Works, Sarah Borgers, is here to provide a summary. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight I have a resolution approving change order number 1 with Brannon. This started out as an on-call contract for $50,000. We primarily use that on-call contract when things come up and we need to do repairs that are outside of our abilities, outside of our capacity. In this case, we have a number of meters that are inside homes. Staff had identified that this was a need and that there was capacity on this on-call budget, and was able to move 15 meters from inside homes to the outside of the homes as is standard. Makes it a lot easier for staff to get access to those meters and do meter readings. So we did 15 of 41, and it went very well, even with this being a fairly challenging project, and we wanted to keep momentum going. So we're asking for a change order of $110,000 on that contract, and we'll finish out those 41 meters.
Great, thank you. Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. This is great, and my question is kind of adjacent, though. A while back, there was talk about gas meters also being moved, do you know anything about that? Do we have an update on that?
I do not. I can ask around and see if we find anything, though.
I just wondered because I have a gas meter inside my garage, and somebody came and said they were going to move it, but it hasn't happened, so I wondered. But thank you.
We have Excel here, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
thank you.
Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Director Borgers, thank you for responding to my email over the weekend. My question is the total number of resident housing units with an inside water meter 41, or is it more?
Yes. And a lot of them actually are townhomes here on Community Center, so that's where they are.
Okay. And so the agreement, it doesn't really specify number of homes, it's kind of open-ended. So will this address the remaining balance, or is this something that's going to be an ongoing sort of thing?
This should cover the remainder of the 41 total meters. We worked with Brannon to identify all of the meters that we wanted changed out, and this should cover, with some contingency, that work to move all of those meters inside.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Please open the vote. Please vote.
I will close that vote, and CR 173 passes unanimously.
Thank you. CR 178, will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving an agreement between the City of North Glen and Glacier Construction Company Incorporated for the Booster Farm to High Zone Flow Meter Replacement Project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, our Director of Public Works is here again.
Awesome. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. So this project will be replacing a meter that's past its useful life. That meter measures the amount of water that we're sending to the high zone, which is down towards the 104th west side of town, and we are needing to replace that. This work will be completed by Glacier, and the total bid amount is $84,180. We're asking for a 10% contingency. I do also want to mention, and Councilmember Kondo brought this up in email, this was a bid that we sent out. Unfortunately, we did only get one bid in, but based on the nature of this work and the number of people that do this kind of work, we don't know that we'll get a better result if we try to go out to bid again. So it is just one bid, but we do think that it's reasonable and in the city's best interest to move forward.
Excellent. Councilmember Kondo?
Again, thank you for responding to my email. I suppose my question is, it has to do with the language in the staff memo. I mean, if it's just a sole one bidder, then it's not really the best reasonable, right? I mean, it's just, we do want to document it that it's the only sole bidder, and there's reasons for why we're selecting them, i.e. perhaps they're the only ones that have a special skill set or yada, yada. I'm not an expert in water meter replacement by any stretch, but, and so I'm just asking, do we need to modify the language to make sure it appropriately documents the decision-making? And I guess I'm looking at our city attorney, or are you comfortable with that?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Please open the vote. Please vote.
CR 178 passes unanimously.
Thank you. CR 179. Will the clerk please read the title?
A resolution approving an agreement between the City of North Glen and KRM Concrete LLC for the 2024 Residential Concrete Program and Greenway Trail Project.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Director of Public Works, Sarah Borgers, is here again.
Last one for tonight. So this resolution is for our annual concrete contract. It's actually for 2024. So in March or so of next year, we'll be bringing 2025 concrete contract to you. We got a little bit kind of behind in our process, but we want to keep it moving. This will be replacing concrete throughout the city and also in the Greenway Trail. This is a close partnership between Public Works and Parks, Recs, and Culture. A little bit more complicated in our funding, but funding is there along with some really wonderful grant funding that our Parks Department was able to procure. Our total contract amount was for, I have the wrong one up, $349,545. It is important to note that this was not our low bid. The other low bid we have done business with in the past and chose to not move forward with them. So this is our second low bid, and I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions? Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Please open the vote.
It's open.
Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and CR 179 passes unanimously.
Thank you. We have one discussion item tonight. We are welcoming up our Chief of Police, Jim May, to talk to us about safety-sensitive zones. Welcome.
Mayor, Council, good evening. Okay. All right. Back in February of 2023, City Council adopted Ordinance 1845, what was the authorization of creating a safety-sensitive zone. This was to provide, and the purpose of tonight also is to provide data to evaluate the city's safety zones, and that's from beginning of August to end of July of 24. The reason why we did that, you guys adopted it in February of 23, Public Works ordering all the equipment and everything else, but all the zones were up and running by actually the end of July, but we started it in the beginning of August. Also, as we provide this information to you tonight, get your feedback, get your thoughts of how things are working. And I have some things that popped for me when I was reviewing this data. Also looking at some of the other, areas that we have. Thank you. All right. So one of the things, the main focus was trying to change motorist behavior by enhancing some of our current and traffic unit enforcement, more targeted, we call it direct patrol. Also, in those zones, the fines are doubled compared to what they are if we catch them on 104th or in some other areas in those zones. Also, which I'll go over here shortly, provide a clear and visible reminder that reducing speed traffic is a high priority for the city. Within there, all the zones are well documented. You guys have seen these, before. Also, with the speed, when it hits the speed limit and you start going over, it flashes red and blue. Just go over where they're at. Ward 1, it's Fox Run Parkway from you got it from the South Park all the way up to North Park. Ward 2 is Irma Drive from Fowler Drive to about 115th. Ward 3 is Community Center Drive from SCL Health to Boondocks. And Ward 4 is Melody Drive from about Monterey Circle to a couple hundred feet north of 100th, right there by the high school. And here just shows the maps of those zones, also shows some of the signs and where the radar speed signs are. I do want to point out, because I'm going to talk about it a little bit later when we get to Ward 3, see where those speed radar signs are, to the south, and I'll talk about that but it's kind of important. And then you see it also on Melody Drive. All right, so with Traffic Engineering Council identified those locations in those wards. Again, really trying to look at the dangerous speeds, amount of pedestrians that are present, for, again, a real push for safety. So we dedicated officers, when they had time to get out there into those zones. When we started this program, as you guys remember, we were 12-hour shifts, right? 3+1. But you'll see in some of the numbers and everything else as time went on, and we, pretty successful in our recruiting and getting people on the street. You saw those numbers go up. We issued 608 tickets and spent over 176 hours in those zones. We also collected the data from all those units that are out there, which really kind of gives a good picture of what's happening and what we need to do. So again, that, when it comes to traffic, we hear it at all the ward meetings. We hear it, mingle with the mayor that, traffic is a big issue, speeding is a big issue. So we, really wanted to put some effort into this. And also, speed and everything else, really trying to reduce accidents, right? That injured people, and making sure that we're taking care of our community. So based on all this, with that, I'm going to talk about Melody. I think that's one of the zones that I think we could probably put more resources, and I'll talk about that a little bit. So Melody Drive, the speeds, and I'll get into that data in a little bit, but the speeds on that one are higher, right? We talk about the 85th percentile, which is a national standard, and when you have where it's not meeting, it's 9 to 10 miles an hour over that national standard, you really need to look at that and see what other things that we can implement and put in place. Two things with Melody Drive. One, we have an opportunity with the change in state law where we no longer have to have a ticket writing radar system that has to be operated by an individual. It can be a portable system, and then it writes tickets for everybody that goes over that speed limit. My recommendation, we're going to bring that forward again in early first quarter of 25 to talk about that and talk about potential cost and everything else. But we'll also work with the engineering group with Public Works to identify other areas in the city that system would work in, right? But Melody Drive, I think that's the area where we would like to put it overlapping, right? So we want to overlap that ticket writing system, so it's capturing 100% of the violations, and see if we see a reduction in that top speed. The other thing, when you look at this data, it says peak speed. What that means is we didn't average their speed. So when you come into one of those zones, it continuously captures your speed coming down. An average speed, what they would do is take the average speed of all those speeds and give you a number. They tend to be about 2 to 3 miles an hour lower than actually taking the peak speed. So for you guys tonight, we captured the peak speed. So it captures that vehicle coming in at its highest point, and that's what we put into that system. The other recommendation I do have for Melody Drive is, because this is a very short section. If you look at the map of Melody, it's very short, right? It goes from Monterey to only a couple hundred feet north of 100. We've had complaints, and we've captured speeds that go farther south. So another thing that I would like to do is make that a larger zone where it continues down south, right at that bend, right? So right there would be a good place to capture. But where I want to overlap this system is in the current one, because I want to see what that data is. So we're not going to do the ticket writing in that zone. We'll do the notification and the speed signs, hopefully in those areas, if council wants to do something like that. All right. So again, council options, and maybe help me with some direction, what you'd like to see come forward. Again, implement automated speed enforcement cameras in these and other designated areas. Like I said, I'll bring something forward in first quarter, kind of like an education on the system. Again, and there are some restrictions that we can't do, but like for one, like in school zones, it's double fine as well. These, if you capture, it's a max fine, and I think it's either $40 or $45. So that would override the tickets. If we were out there writing tickets, it's just $45. But it captures everybody, right? And it's great. And you have to have a 30-day warning period as well. So, and again, with that information, working with Public Works, we'll concentrate on that 85th percentile of speeds that exceeds it more than 7 miles per hour. Those zones are in Ward 3 and Ward 4. So like I went back, and what this means is that's, where it's 7 miles over on Community Center Drive, it's south, right? So that's kind of like a straight shot. Everything else, they're coming out of this area where there's a lot of pedestrian traffic, and we don't have this speed. So what I'd like to see is kind of look at what these speeds are here, because this is the most dangerous area, right? When they're coming up and out, they're accelerating and everything else. So that's where we believe, that, 9 mile an hour, 85th percentile speed. But we write a ton of tickets there, as you can see in the data, right? So we can get to that. Let me get to the stuff here. So again, the Fox Run, just on there really quick, you have it August to July. You have the vehicle counts of how many, and that's a daily count of vehicles that are going through there, average daily count. Then you see the average speed, then you see the peak speeds, right? And that's how, I talked about that going through. And then the high or the fastest times recorded, the different times. And a lot of it's right around rush hour, which you would expect. You have northbound, you have southbound. And once we get through this, we can go back if you guys have any questions. But I want to get to the one. So for tickets, in this area, you can see, the speeding, it's, where it's, 29.4, the speed's an 85th percentile over there. So really it's 4 to 5 miles an hour on that 8. So that's not that dangerous. What we're seeing on tickets over there, though, are stop sign violations. We're writing a lot more stop sign violations than we are speeding tickets. And it could be a couple things. We do have speeders, as you can see, that are in that area. But sometimes it's harder for officers to hide. I don't know if they see us coming or whatever, but I have officers that spend a lot of time over there, and they don't, it's tough to get, a speeding ticket where they can sit on a stop sign violation in Fox Run, and they can, write those. I think, city manager's out there with one of our officers and writing stop sign violations. Three, yeah. So I think that one's that way. Also, the other one that's very similar to the Fox Run, right here shows all the tickets issued over that year. It shows minutes on mission instead of hours, right? Because, police officer out there, it's a district officer. They can get pulled off, but they can capture the minutes. That's why it's in minutes rather than hours. And then the other thing that we look at, it's really important to me, is what's the accidents look like. So you can see in 21, 22, when we didn't have anything going out there, we had 6. One of those was a fatal, going way too fast for that. 22, 23, we had 4, and really we had 2 in that zone, 23 to 24. So, we saw a reduction there. So Irma Drive and Fowler Drive, very similar to Fox Run, right? So, for the speeding and everything else, we didn't see, but a lot of stop sign violations right there at Malley, right from the school, Malley onto Irma. So a lot of tickets were written over there. A lot of enforcement was over there. There's also a lot of enforcement, on the other sides too, because I had my traffic officers concentrating in those school areas. So Irma and Phillips, we had, enforcement stuff. And then we also, over on Waco, we also had a lot of enforcement. But in that zone, as you can see, the speeds, right? 31, 32. So I think that's the daily average. Look where the daily average is, well within, the speed limit. All right. And then here's the crash data from that. So we had a couple more accidents, a lot of side swipes in there, a distracted driver that we had. I think a fence was hit as well. All right, Community Center Drive. So you can see going northbound, 36, 37 miles an hour, right? I think it's because that straightaway going northbound, coming off the hill, going in there, they get that speed, it captures it. Same with, southbound coming out from the park on the straightaway, it's capturing those speeds. You show that, amount of time. I mean, there's a lot of time that's spent in that area, and a lot of, summonses have been written over there as well. And then here are the accidents in there. But what I'd like to capture and get with Public Works is really what's this look like? Because that's where I'm nervous about, right? Cars blowing through there. I do see our geese used in the crosswalks, which is nice and slows cars down. But it's like every day I come in, they're in the crosswalk and people are stopping for them. So didn't have any geese fatalities so far this year, which is a good one. But other than that, but I think we need to spend some time definitely evaluating what the speeds look like right in front of our new building, especially people crossing as much as they do. I really want to make sure that the speeds are much lower on that section. Okay. Melody Drive, again, you can see this one. This one's high for that section. That's where I think we really need to spend some extra time. I can tell you, we failed at this, when we were pulling our data. In the beginning months, and I think the deputy chief went out saying, yeah, we had data that we were pulling in included 104th and Melody, which brought all of that. So it showed a lot of enforcement, but it wasn't in this area. Once we pulled it in that area, we were like, oh my goodness, we're not spending enough time in there. So we definitely need to spend more time in there, but we also need to, again, with those speeds, I would like to see that the automatic ticket writer, in there, and then also, working with, if you guys approve, working it south, and then get Public Works to put some other measures in to the south of Melody. But you can see the time we spent over there once we, so yeah, not many citations. And yeah, so that wasn't good. Oops. So questions. Oh, I do have one more thing.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Councilman Kondo asked me to get a yearly, did you pass that to everybody? So he sent me an email yesterday and asked me to get the year average. So this form kind of shows that. It shows the months, but also the average year for northbound, southbound, and then you also average the speed in there. And I think it shows just what the data we pulled that you guys just saw. It's very, very close. You see that Community Center Drive's high, and you see that Melody's high. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Okay. Councilmember Kondo?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So on the ride-along that I did, there were a few periods of time when we did kind of a targeted patrol to watch for speeding and whatnot. And what was interesting to me is that the officer would pull over to the side of the road and strategically position himself, but he would keep his lights on. And I'm just trying to figure out if that's required by law, or, because it seems to me that if you're driving, and I'm going to reveal my driving habits, but generally if you see a police officer, you slow down. And so I'm just wondering, if you have the lights on, you're kind of pre-alerting people as they're going through the area that you're trying to assess and track speeds and whatnot. So I wonder if you can comment to that.
Of course. To me, it's safety, right? With lights on, they're visible. And again, you're right. Cars, people might see those and say, oh my gosh, that's an officer. But at night, it's tough to see, the lights and everything else. But for me, I'd rather have my officers out there being safe rather than the lights off. And some of them will, depending where it's at, right? So that officer felt that they had to have, their lights on. But there's no restriction for us not, unless it's nighttime, right? And we're about to pull out, we better have our lights on. But, just like anything else. So, yeah.
Okay, great. And then thank you for doing this math, because I found that as I was reviewing the packet and looking at the tables from slides 24 on, I was having a hard time just trying to figure out, tying that to your recommendation as to why, you thought that it's worthwhile to continue to do action on Community Center Drive and Melody. So I'm assuming part of your rationale is because the averages of the speeds, whether it's north or southbound, are the highest of the four speed safety zones. Is that kind of where you're going?
Yeah, and again, with this, where the signs are currently on that south part of Community Center Drive, I would like to see them farther north. So I think that would be a recommendation that I would have for you. I don't think we need to put new ones in. I think we understand that that's where the speeds are. We're still going to do enforcement up there because, to your point earlier, my motor officers and cars will park in the boondocks north thing, and it's hard to see coming out there, and they capture quite a few speeding. Melody and Fox Run, though, were wide open, so it's very visible to see an officer on there where it's a little harder to capture speeding. But again, when you look at the data, really it's not a big issue of speeding on those two streets.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yep. But a lot of stop sign violations, that's why I wouldn't remove the safety zones in those areas.
Councilmember Jaramillo.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Chief. Great data here. It really backs up why we have this program, and I would like to see the expansion of it. I agree that we have to continue making North Glen a safe place for pedestrians, people of all ages, really, especially along Community Center Drive. But I have been receiving a lot of emails, calls, and even some mention on the news from residents in Ward 2 requesting additional measures on Irma. What it could be, expanding the safety-sensitive zone, but also I'm also on board with the implementation of the automated speed enforcement cameras. I just
clarification, an expansion right there going to the north, or are we talking south? Because I've had complaints of south of 112th on Irma as well. I didn't know which area you're talking about.
Yeah, I've been hearing most recently from Truda to 119th, but when I was running for council, I heard a lot more 115th to 112th. So, I'm sure the issues have been going on, all along Irma. There's still, people have their front doors are right there. They see it every day. It's not only Irma, there's other streets, but, yeah, I'd be up for, expanding it along Irma to the north and the south, possibly. I just, I've been hearing it for years, and it's, and it's been different, just different times, 4 years apart, basically. And, let's see. I also agree with the flashing crossing beacons. Like, those are great, but the spot where I see them, where I would need them the most in Ward 2 is in a school zone, but it's with the private school, the STEM lab. I know that complicates things quite a bit, doesn't it, when we work with the school? It wouldn't? Okay.
STEM Lab's part of Adams 12 School District, and we have worked with them.
Okay.
In doing the traffic studies. So we would need to pull in Public Works. I want to say improvements were done to that school 2 to 3 summers ago,
Okay.
but
And-
don't quote me on that.
And right along Irma, between Phillips and Fowler is Bowman Place, and you'll see people crossing there constantly before and after school. And I think it's probably one of the most utilized crosswalks that when you drive by, like it's constant, and I could see that being one that we'd have to have a flashing crossing beacon. Since we have kids of all ages there. Let's see. But, sorry, I'm just looking through all my notes. I've been writing them down. Yeah, that's really what I think is just, we can expand even. I've heard some requests for a speed study north of 120th on Irma. Like there's people that are using that as like a drag spot right there, like to drag race. And then they have the little cul-de-sac there. So that's just echoing my my constituents there, where like Irma from 112th to past 120th has been speeding issues all along.
I'll get with Public Works and see if we can get some, where it's radar again, and it captures that info and see where there's a problem. We can probably bring that to council in the future.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, and I'm glad you're on board for expanding the program some more, and I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Councilmember Nowicki.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for being here, Chief, and thank you for all this wonderful data. It's quite a lot, and thank you for putting in a helpful table. So I think looking at your slides, you kind of had a couple questions that you wanted us to answer. Sorry, give me just a moment here. Council feedback, which you're getting. Is the program fulfilling its intended purpose? It seems like it is. I believe it is. And then what are you hearing from the community? First, with regard to Community Center Drive and Melody, I would be in favor of kind of the speed enforcement, whether those are cameras or whatever those are. Yeah, I mean, it looks like those are two of the kind of problematic areas. So kind of stepping into that, I think, would really help to maybe address the speeds in those areas. So Council Member Jaramillo hit on some things. Obviously, I represent Ward 2, so I want to talk a little bit about Ward 2 specifically. So I'm looking at the speed data here, northbound, southbound on Irma. And just for reference, what is the posted speed limit there?
25.
25, okay. So if I'm heading northbound, the table that I'm looking at, people are going up to kind of an average of 32 northbound. Yep. So that's, I guess the average is 31.52 going northbound. But that's not in the 85th percentile, or that is?
The 85th percentile.
That is the 85th percentile.
85% are traveling at that speed.
I'm sorry, say again?
85% are, within that speed.
Right. Okay. So I think if we're thinking about kind of utilizing the cameras, I'd be all in favor of kind of getting 2 of them and kind of using them on Community Center Drive and Melody. But I do agree that maybe Irma would benefit from continued enforcement. And from reviewing the data here, it also looks like.
So with those cameras, one of the restrictions, it's 10 or 10 plus, right? So this would not be a good place to place that.
Yeah. Okay.
So looking at that data, you have some that are in there, but it won't capture. It's 10 miles. The state requires it's 10 or more miles an hour.
Okay. Yeah, again, because one of the questions you have is, what are you hearing from the community? And, oftentimes they hear speeding on Irma, speeding around, speeding, it was on the news, Ward 2, right there. So again, I appreciate your efforts to continue to look at this, and this, I know the city takes this very seriously. I know you do, I know we all do. And I know this is kind of an intractable problem that we'll continue to work on. So, I appreciate your cooperation in this. I am curious, because looking through the information, it also sounded like stop sign running is kind of an issue. And I wonder if even on Irma, and I'm thinking at like Malley and then Phillips, if we would benefit from having flashing stop signs. And I don't know necessarily what's involved in kind of doing that. I don't know if people just need an additional reminder to stop. But that is maybe one suggestion I have for those areas in particular. So that's kind of where I'm at as far as just my suggestions. I do also want to say thank you to the city for putting the crossing at south of on 115th south of Holstrom School, because using the Greenway Trail, I take my daughter right down there, and it's really nice. It's nice to be able to use that because people pay attention, people slow down, people yield, and it's really helpful. And I feel like it's made the city more connected and much safer. So I appreciate all the work the city has done to kind of utilize or kind of establish, safety zones all along that trail. So thank you.
Councilmember Goff?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. It's really good to be able to not only see what's going on in Ward 3, but compare. And so I am really interested in all of the things that you're preparing, to bring forward to us and that you talked about tonight. As far as hearing from the community, during the National Night Out, I did go to a couple of places in those apartments that are off of Community Center Drive. And they all agreed that they saw improvement once the safety sensitive zone signs were put up. I don't think they were happy with what it was, because I think they still want people, they still see speeding, but they thought it had improved. So I just wanted to give you that in terms of feedback of what I've heard.
Great, thank you.
I have a few questions. First of all, I was looking at the Fox Run data and the difference between northbound and southbound, and I think there's less of a runway going northbound between the stop sign and the monitor. And then right after the monitor, they can take off, right? So or wait, do I have it backwards? I may have it backwards. You know what I mean? Going down the hill is.
Yeah, coming from North Park down to the trail.
Yes,
Yeah,
is
around the
a
corner
lot,
when they get
there's
speed, yeah.
more runway there. And so I could see how the data was different.
So I've seen, again, living right there, right?
Yeah.
So actually, the cars that I've seen speeding, well, actually, most of them are coming from that north,
Yeah,
south.
that's what I
where
meant.
I mean, that's what, I've been
Okay.
out there. Not my
Okay.
patrol
That
car,
was-
though.
Just something to notice as far as where the monitor is placed.
Yeah.
And how much space they have, my runway term, between a stop sign and that monitor, they can really get going. I had a couple of questions based on something you said. So I did wonder, just off the top of your head, what is the traffic team, is there like a priority when they go out? Like, I'm assuming it's school safety zones?
Try not to use the traffic team for these areas, and the
Okay.
reason being, the accident data does not support that, right? So,
Okay.
we try to put them in areas where we're having excessive speeds, right? 20 miles an hour is speed limit. We have school zones where they're catching them all day long, 15 to 20 on Huron. Or 104th and Huron, 104th and Melody, 120th and Claude. And those accidents really dropped off on Claude. So that's where they target those areas. Once in a while they'll jump on the highway, when we're having our accidents. This year, 4 fatalities this year, I think. but 3 of them motorcycles, one car, right? So we've had quite a few, and one of our fatalities is right there at 104th and Huron, excessive speeds. So I think that's where, we try to get them out there. Red light running, right? Again, motorcycles can get into places where cars can't. So they can pick up those when people are the 3rd, 4th car through a red light. They pick those up because those are the ones that cause damage, right? Those T-bones and other things. So that's where I focus the traffic team. Just since you brought it up, the goal is to have a 4th traffic officer this spring on a motor. So we're going to go through that process very shortly to identify that individual, get them through the training. So by this summer, they're up and running. So you'll have a 4-person, motorcycle traffic team that is going to target a lot of those areas. But they do assist in the school zone. I mean, they spend a lot of time in the school zones. That's where you'll see Austin at Phillips and Irma a lot. So he works that area a lot. So.
Okay, so that was information I don't think I had, is that the traffic team is not focused on these areas. They have other important areas in the city.
And then, so the ones that focus are our district officers that are out there doing it. So as we increase staff, right, we just graduated our 2nd group that came through FTO. So you're going to see a lot more officers out there. So I expect in these zones, you'll see increases in numbers of citations as well.
Okay.
And Commander Rice does get with the lieutenants and everything else and really says spend some time into those zones. So it's really pushed for a directed patrol in those areas.
Okay. So back to the data for just a second. I was looking at the slides that talk about citations issued, citation violations issued, and in many of these slides, the number's not different. Can you differentiate those columns for me? So right there.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. What is the difference?
Oh, so citation, you might have citations issued. You could have one, but you could have multiple violations on one ticket.
Got it. Okay, because there was a chart. It wasn't this one. These are exactly the same.
But,
there was one where it was 2 higher, and I didn't quite understand the difference.
Yeah, that's it. So they issued multiple violations on the one ticket.
Got it. Okay, that was helpful. And then can you really define and explain, not only for us, but for the, for viewers out there, what the automated speed enforcement program is? Because you said something about the state statute being 10 over, 30-day warning. I just need more of it.
I think, best relay, people remember the speed vans on the side of the road where, you're driving and all of a sudden your photo is taken and then 20 days later, you get this nice little traffic coupon in the mail that you have to pay. So legislation changed where before it had to have an officer in that vehicle observing that violation. And it was very difficult, it's not very cost effective because the state capped the fines at that point. So, but they understand traffic is a big issue, speeding is a big issue. So, they said, okay, you don't have to do that anymore. You can have a stationary system or you can use the van system. You have to give 30, just a quick, you're going to get this again, but you have to have a 30-day notification system, warning system once you put that in place, right? It has to have signage and everything else that you're entering a photo speed zone. And so you have to have all that in place. And then after 30 days, then you can start issuing tickets. It'd be nice to have some stationary ones and then also a van, that we could put out there. But the problem with the van is that it still has the same requirements where you have to do 30 days. And if you want to move it around, that makes it challenging. But it does do education. So if you have areas, especially in school zones, where we're not going to get any funds for it to help pay for that system, but it's out there doing education. So it'll give people warning letters or warning citations rather than, give them the citation, because that would be hard to do, to keep taking the van out to the same location. But The fixed units, we'll talk about that. We'll get, with the company and the cost and what that all looks like.
Okay, so that's on,
Makes sense.
yeah, and now I understand the 30-day warning. I wasn't sure what that meant. And then you had said something about 10 over?
Correct. So for on that, they also make a requirement that you can't issue a summons less than 10 miles an hour.
Okay.
Yeah. So in those zones, 9, you're fine, 10, you get a
Okay.
ticket.
So Corey seems to have his hand up.
Yeah, just one of the things so council understands, because there's a lot of history in Colorado with these speed enforcement cameras. And the Supreme Court said that this is a matter of statewide concern. And so since we've talked a lot about what is a matter of local and what is a matter of statewide concern, this is a matter of statewide concern. So there's a recent statute that allowed more flexibility, but also more regulation in terms of using them for enforcement. But we have to follow those rules because it is a matter of statewide concern.
That's great. I recall a conversation we had in the van and the staffing and all that. It just was too expensive. I'm looking at, I don't know what slide it is, but whatever, 21 maybe. And you have an image there. Is that what a stationary one looks like? Like on a pole?
Yeah, let me get to that really quick. Oh, I think it's right after, hold on. Very similar. I think that's what, again, I don't know what company this is. And so, yeah, so we'll
Okay.
bring, the company that we're looking at. But that's exactly, it kind of looks like our old photo red light system that we had on 104th years ago, if you guys can remember.
Well,
So that's really what, but again, it has the radar unit, then has a camera system attached.
And a little history there. Can we talk about why we wouldn't do a red light or a stop sign or?
We were one of the first in Colorado to put one in. The problem was the technology wasn't there yet. So the system we had, really grainy pictures, that kind of stuff. So I don't know I haven't looked at that, with the, but I guarantee the technology, it's a lot better. I mean, seeing the photos and everything else from this, it's improved over the last 22 years, so.
I'm not saying it was a picture of me, but a registered driver in my house got one in Commerce City.
Yeah.
And it was pretty darn clear. So I was wondering if that was part of this discussion or.
So one of the things, when we went to that system, right, because that flash of the light and everything else, so it really cut down on our serious bodily injury accidents at those locations, but it did increase our rear enders. So people, when that light turned yellow, people are slamming on the brakes. So we saw an increase in rear end collisions in those spaces, but it's better than having a fatal or serious bodily injury at those locations.
So is that part of a future discussion? I mean, we're talking about speeding right now, but.
Yeah, we can. I mean, in the future, if council would like us to bring that forward as well.
As of today, the police department's not recommending photo red light for the
It's
reasons
just-
that Chief mentioned, but if council wants to have that discussion, we can certainly wrap it into the conversation when they bring back this program enhancement technology.
I would like to recommend that because one of your slides, you said, what are you hearing from the community? The red light runners are excessive. And people mention that to me in almost every venue. And so even, because I'm assuming this discussion is going to come with an estimate of cost. And so I think to roll that in, maybe they'll, 2 of these, they'll give you one of these free. I don't know. But I think if we could look into that, at least understanding the cost, because that seems to also be a safety issue. So if you go to the next slide, you had some other questions for council, and I think number one is the one that is most interesting to me, is what area makes the most sense for these automated speed enforcement cameras, since we do have the new legislation, I can't even talk today, that we can lean on, but then the other designated areas in the city. I would like to put them everywhere, depending on how much their costs. I'm kidding, I don't want them everywhere, but I think there's other areas where we have not been able, bless you, not been able to do, maybe they don't qualify for no need for speed, or they don't qualify to be a speed-sensitive zone, but we know, because you had said south of 112th on Irma, that's like that's a crazy area. So are there other areas that have been recommended?
Not yet. I wanted to get with engineering and, get some of their input on this. Things that come to mind is Huron, right? So another area that outside the school zones where we get a lot of speed, like south of the school on Huron, north of 112th, some of the speeding that goes on there, 112th sometimes. So Irma, this, south part of Irma is another one. So there's several areas that come to my mind, but really doing a deep dive into that, and that's what we want to do over the next couple months before we bring it to you, is try to identify some and the reasons behind it. Another reason is that these companies, depending on how many they write, they get a portion of those tickets to help pay for that system. Nothing is always free, but if it can reduce some of that, we put 3 systems in, and they, in some of those high traffic areas that people are, speeding, might, pay for those, but maybe assist like a portable one where we hit areas where it might not hit those numbers that we need to pay for, and they give only warning notices, but we're still impacting that driver behavior.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, we'll bring that forward. It's very interesting and another tool in the toolbox for us to really help us reduce, because that someone doesn't have to sit there all the time, right?
Yeah.
So,
is there part of the education, I know, will be letting people know about, the new laws and how everything works, because I think there's rumors out there that if they get an automated ticket, they don't have to pay it. Who takes care of kind of chasing people down for payment?
so that falls on us, and then I think it's double the fine, isn't it, Corey? I believe so if they don't pay it and we have to go out, then I think it's $80 or $90. So it doubles it.
And then if they don't pay that?
Yeah.
What I'm worried about is what is the clerical and...
I really don't know if there's if we could put, I don't know, I have to research that.
Okay.
If they keep failing and we can't pick them up. Most of the times when we get people, they're probably going to be living in our city or in our neighborhoods that we catch, and we can knock on their door and say,
Well, I just don't want that to be what weighs on the system.
Yeah.
Like, we can't be chasing people down for these fines. Again, I mean, if we check in with our neighbors, I read this one that I handed to a child to pay. But Commerce City had some very specific language on, I think they can actually end up taking you to collections. But is that going to be a burden on our staff, or does the company help with that, I guess?
So that's something that we're kicking up in our Muni court, right? So especially when it comes to parking tickets.
Okay.
In the past, our the tickets that we just got through with our summons books, there's $25 fines. A lot of them weren't collected. There was no consequence or anything else for collections. I think that's something that we can look at. I'll work with Corey on how we can, do that, because I know they're going to send them off to collections, the ones that don't pay our current parking tickets from here on out. If they don't pay them, we're going to send them to collections.
Okay. I appreciate the different options and all the data. I mean, I don't quite understand the difference between the average and the whatever, but I get the point, and I appreciate your summary of the data. But when I look at the options we have, I really would like us to look at that and at least see option 1, if there's a way that we can afford. I don't know. If they're too expensive, maybe we get a couple and then we look at the data to see if it's effective or not. I think Can we pick more than just one?
Oh, yeah.
Because I like number 2 as well.
Yeah.
I don't like number 4. Let's lean in. I mean, I think we have some additional zones that are popping up. I think you've got some data to show that we have needs in specific areas, and I would like us to look at the cameras. That's me. Anybody else? Yeah? We good? Cool, thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right. Public invited to be heard. There's nobody left. I'm going to skip my speech. There being no further business, we are adjourned. Happy Thanksgiving.